What if I told you that someone could hand you up to $35,000 to help you buy a home? And thousands of people will never even ask about it because they assume that they don't qualify. That's happening right now. Maybe you've heard of Florida Hometown Heroes program. Maybe you've seen a headline on Facebook or a friend said, oh, that's only for teachers. Here's the problem. There is a lot of information floating around, and some of it's outdated, some of it's incomplete, and some of it's just plain wrong. So today, let's clear it up. I'm Jenna Sunshine Hilly, certified mortgage advisor. I'm here to help you make the best decision to move forward. My goal isn't to convince you to buy a house today. My goal is to help you understand your options so that you can make a wise decision when the time is right. Because buying a home is one of the biggest financial decisions that you will ever make. And good decisions start with good information. What is the Florida Hometown Heroes program? Imagine you're trying to climb over a wall. The wall isn't the monthly mortgage payment. The wall is coming up with enough money for the down payment and closing costs. For many families, that is the hardest part. They're paying rent every month that's equal to or even higher than what a mortgage payment might be. But saving tens of thousands of dollars while paying today's rent, that's tough. And the Florida Hometown Heroes program was created to help people get over that wall. And if you qualify, the program can provide 5% of your first mortgage amount with a minimum of $10,000 and a maximum of $35,000. And that money can be used towards your down payment, your closing costs, and certain prepaid expenses. Now, for some buyers, it could mean buying a home this year instead of waiting another 3 or 4 years. And that's a pretty big deal. Is it really free money? Well, this is probably the number one question that I get. And the answer is no. But it's still a really valuable benefit. And here's an easy way to think about it. So imagine your parents loaned you money to buy your first car, and they don't charge you interest. They don't ask you to make a payment every month. But if you sell the car pretty soon after they give it to you, they'll expect you to pay it back. And that's very similar to how Hometown Heroes works. The assistance is a 0% interest second mortgage. There's no monthly payments, but it's generally repaid if you sell the home, refinance your first mortgage, transfer ownership, or stop living in the home as your primary residence. So no, it's not a grant, but for many buyers, it's still one of the most affordable ways to bridge the gap between renting and owning. So who qualifies? This is one of the biggest misunderstandings. The name Hometown Heroes makes people think that it's only for police officers, firefighters, teachers, or nurses. Those professions are certainly examples of people who may qualify, but the program has expanded over the years. And today it may include many full-time employees working for Florida-based employers along with certain veterans, active duty military members. Keep in mind that eligibility is determined by the current Florida housing guidelines, so it's important that we verify those requirements. And in general, you'll also need to meet several other requirements. You typically must be purchasing a primary residence in Florida. You'll need to meet the program's county income limits, and you'll need to qualify for the mortgage itself. So for many borrowers, you'll need to meet the first-time home buyer requirement, although some exceptions do apply. And here's what I want you to do. Don't decide that you don't qualify without checking. I've talked to too many people who ruled themselves out based on something that they heard from a neighbor or read in a Facebook comment, and those comments don't approve loans. The guidelines do, and guidelines change. So, what loans can you use with the Hometown Heroes? Another common misconception is that Hometown Heroes is its own mortgage, and it's not. Think of it like this. If you're baking a cake, the first mortgage is the cake. And Hometown Heroes, it's the frosting. The frosting makes the cake better, but you still need the cake. The assistance works alongside an eligible first mortgage, such as an FHA, VA, USDA, or certain conventional loans offered through Florida Housing. And part of my job is helping buyers determine which loan program fits their goals and then seeing whether Hometown Heroes makes that option even stronger. Because the best loan isn't always the one with the lowest interest rate. It's the one that helps you reach your financial goals with the least amount of stress and at a payment that's comfortable for you. People are so focused on the interest rate, but what we should be asking is, what's the monthly payment going to be? Now, here's where things get really interesting. There are several myths about this program that keep people from taking advantage of it. So let's bust those myths because one of them could save you thousands of dollars. Myth number 1, the interest rate is always higher if you use Hometown Heroes. The answer is not necessarily. Here's why. The down payment assistance itself has a 0% interest rate, and you don't make monthly payments on that second mortgage. Now, let's talk about the first mortgage. The interest rate on the first mortgage is set through the Florida Housing for this program, and sometimes that rate is very competitive. Although, other times you may find a lower rate outside the program. So here's the question I ask my clients. Would you rather save 0.1% on your interest rate or have an extra $20,000 to $35,000 available to help you buy the home? There's no one-size-fits-all answer. So let's look at an example. Let's imagine that you're buying a $350,000 home. Now, option A gives you an interest rate that's a little lower, but you have to bring an additional $25,000 to closing. Option B has a slightly higher rate, but Hometown Heroes provides $25,000 in assistance. Which is better? Well, that depends. If you have plenty of money in the bank and plan to keep the loan for 30 years, the lower rate may make more sense. But if coming up with that extra cash is what's been keeping you from buying a home at all, the assistance may be a better financial decision. And that's why we compare the whole picture and not just number 1. So think of it like buying a car. Imagine 2 dealerships. One offers a lower monthly payment, but one wants a huge down payment. And the other asks for less money up front, but the monthly payment is a little bit higher. Which one's better? Well, you can't answer that without looking at the entire financial situation. And mortgages work in the same way. That's why I don't just shop for rates, I shop for solutions. Myth number 2, I need perfect credit. No, you do not need perfect credit. It's not required. I've worked with buyers who thought they had no chance because of something that happened years ago, and sometimes they were much closer than they realized. Sometimes they needed a few months. Sometimes, always, they needed a strategy. So the point is, don't count yourself out before someone has actually reviewed your situation. And myth number 3, I need 20% down. It's like this myth will not die. For many loan programs, 20% is not a requirement. This myth just refuses to die. For many loan programs, 20% is not required. In fact, many first-time homebuyers purchase homes with much less. Hometown Heroes exist because many hardworking people can afford a mortgage payment but haven't been able to save a large down payment while paying today's rent. Myth number 4, if I qualify, I should automatically use the program. Not always. Remember what I said earlier. The best mortgage isn't automatically the one with the lowest interest rate. And it's not automatically the one with the down payment assistance. It's the one that puts you in the strongest financial position with a payment that's comfortable for you. Sometimes that's Hometown Heroes, and sometimes it isn't. A good mortgage advisor should be willing to show you both options. And if someone only shows you one solution, you should ask why. Myth number 5, I'll wait until I find a house. Please don't. Imagine training for a marathon. Would you wait until race day to start training? Probably not. I hope not. Buying a home works the same way. Getting pre-approved before you start shopping saves time, reduces stress, and helps you move quickly when you do find the right home. And with a program that has limited funding, being prepared really matters. Why the funding doesn't last. So I hear this question every year. Why can't everyone who qualifies receive the assistance? Because the program has a limited budget. And here's a simple way to picture it. Imagine your favorite coffee shop announces that they're giving away the first 500 cups of coffee on Monday morning. If you're customer number 501, the coffee isn't free anymore. And it doesn't mean that you're not a good customer. It simply means that the available funding has been spoken for. That's why getting prepared before reservations open for Hometown Heroes is so important. The biggest mistake that I see is that people wait because they're afraid that they'll find out that they aren't ready. But can I encourage you with something? Finding out that you're not ready today is actually good news, because now you have a plan. And maybe it's improving your credit. Maybe it's paying off one debt. Maybe it's documenting income correctly. Maybe it's simply saving another few $1,000s. Those are all problems that we can solve. The worst time to discover a problem is after you've fallen in love with a house. So, what should you do if you're thinking about buying a home? Whether you're hoping to buy in the next few months or sometime in the next year, here's the path that I recommend. Step 1, know where you stand. You don't need to guess. You don't need to rely on something that your cousin heard 5 years ago. And you definitely don't need to take mortgage advice from a Facebook comment section. A mortgage pre-approval is not a commitment to buy a home, and not all are created equal. Think of it like getting a starting point for your GPS before you go on a road trip. You want to know where you're starting, the obstacles ahead, which route makes the most sense, how long it's going to take. Step 2, I need you to ask questions, and lots of them. A good mortgage advisor should welcome your questions. And here's a few that I'd encourage you to ask. Do I qualify for Hometown Heroes based on the current guidelines? After you fill out an application, of course. Is Hometown Heroes my best option? Or is there another program that would save me more money? Again, after you fill out an app. And how much cash would I need to bring to closing with and without this program? Again, need an application. What would my monthly payment look like under each option? If I plan to refinance in the future, how would that affect down payment assistance? Very important with this particular program. And if your lender can't clearly explain your options after you filled out an application, keep asking until you understand them. You deserve to feel confident about one of the biggest financial decisions that you'll ever make. So step 3, get your documents together early. This is the part that no one gets excited about, but it's one of the most important. And I do have some workarounds with this. So there's a way that I can retrieve your documents, and you don't even have to get your bank statement, so be sure to ask me about that. But this one's most important. If you don't want to go the dockless route, as we say, things like your pay stubs, your W-2 or your tax returns, bank statements, photo ID, employment information. The faster your file is complete, the faster your lender can determine your eligibility. So when funding is limited, preparation matters. Step 4, don't shop based on interest rate. I know everyone wants to know what's your rate. But here's the truth. The interest rate is only a piece of the puzzle. Imagine buying the cheapest car that you find, only to discover that it needs a new transmission. It actually wasn't the cheapest car. It just had the lowest sticker price. So mortgages are similar. Sometimes the loan with the lowest rate isn't the one that leaves you with the strongest financial position. And the lowest rate with a much larger cash requirement may not be the better choice. That's why we compare the total cost and not just one number. And a word to realtors. If you're a realtor watching this, here's my encouragement. If you have buyers who are waiting because they think they don't have enough cash to close, don't assume they're out of options. If you're a realtor watching this, here's my encouragement. If you have buyers who are waiting because they think they don't have enough cash to close, don't assume that they're out of options. Let's have a conversation before they give up. And I know that you want to talk to them, but I really do need to see the entire picture in order to give them the best financial guidance. Just like you studied for your real estate exam, I study all the time for my mortgage loan advisor position. I study every day, I study guidelines, and things change constantly. You have a hard job, and trying to do my job too is just too much. So take that with a grain of salt. The way that my heart behind these videos. Can I tell you why I make videos like this? because I don't think mortgage advice should feel confusing or intimidating. I believe that education gives people confidence. Whether you work with me or another lender, I want you to understand your choices, because informed buyers make better decisions, and better decisions build stronger families, communities, lasting wealth. So my final thoughts are, if you remember only one thing from this video, let it be this. Please don't disqualify yourself. Let me say that again. Don't disqualify yourself. I've seen people assume they couldn't buy because of their credit, because of their income, because they didn't have enough savings, or because someone told them that they wouldn't qualify, because a bank told them they wouldn't qualify. Sometimes they were right. Many times they weren't. The only way to know is to ask. If buying a home is part of your future, or just part of your future dream, one that you've almost written off, even if it's 6 months, a year away, or you never even thought it was possible, now is a great time to learn where you stand. You don't have to have everything figured out today. You just need to know your best next step. And if this video has helped you, I'd really appreciate it if you click the like button and subscribe. I promise that they'll get better, and every week I share practical mortgage education, home buying tips, and strategies to help you make wise financial decisions without any hype or pressure. And if you have questions about Hometown Heroes or another loan program, please leave them in the comments. I will read them, and many of my future videos will come directly from your questions. And if you'd like to talk about your specific situation, I'd be honored to help you explore your options. No pressure, just a conversation. Thank you so much for spending part of your day with me. And until next time, be kind to someone that you disagree with. You've got this, and I've got you. Jenna Hilly here with all of your mortgage needs.